Meantime, at home, Air Canada flight attendants in 4 major cities are getting set to protest today in what the union is calling a national day of action. A CUPE spokesperson says flight attendants will stand in silence at airports in Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. It's a show of support for the union leaders who are at the bargaining table with Air Canada this week. More than 10,000 flight attendants could go on strike as early as Saturday if a new deal was not reached. The union says the key sticking points are wages, work rules, and unpaid hours.
It's pretty shocking to hear that we are actually only paid when the aircraft is in motion. So the entire time that we spend doing our pre-flight safety checks, boarding, deplaning, any medical emergencies that happen on the ground, we're doing that all uncompensated.
CUPE says that today's demonstrations will not impact any flights or Air Canada operations. CTV's Colton Praill is standing by with more for us this morning. So, Colton, Air Canada flight attendants planning that National Day of Action. Meantime, talks continue. Bring us up to speed. Where are we?
Yeah, these talks were 8 months deep into negotiations, as you just heard there, and as you mentioned, pay and unpaid hours, the two really significant sticking points. The union is pointing to the fact that they're coming off back-to-back 10-year contracts where they really haven't seen a lot of movement for the lowest paid flight attendants. They say the entry-level earner is only making about $3 an hour more in 2025 than they were in 2000. And so there is a framing of this pay structure as being incredibly harsh. They say it's near poverty-level wages, in their words. Air Canada recognizes that there is a need for a large increase in compensation. They say they are working on that, but they haven't been specific about what it is exactly that they're offering. There are some reports that may be as high as an over 30% wage increase, but those reports are disputed by CUPE mediators and spokespeople who say that those offers haven't been presented to them. This is the major and the largest sticking point in these negotiations, but as mentioned, it has been going on for quite some time now, and the union will be in a position to strike as early as midnight Saturday. Canadians will know in advance. There's a 72-hour requirement to provide notice, so that means as of Wednesday we would know whether or not this strike is potentially occurring this weekend. At this point in time, both sides say their objective is to avoid a labor dispute, a labor disruption, I should say, that they're trying to end the dispute and find some sort of agreed upon contracts to put in place prior to that date. But the union does say if that's not possible, they are prepared to move forward with that strike, and it would be about 10,000 flight attendants who walk off the job at Air Canada.
Yeah, and the impact would be major because there's over 1,000 Air Canada flights taking off every day. So how would the strike affect Canadian travelers, Colton?
Yeah, well, if you're somebody who is traveling and already is traveling, will be out of the country, out of the city, wherever you are, there's a legal requirement on the airline, on Air Canada itself, to get you back to where you were or to your next destination. That's something that is enshrined in Canadian law. But if you're somebody who isn't taking off yet, who has a trip booked in the future, that could be very disruptive. And at this point in time, the airline says they haven't canceled any flights, they aren't postponing any flights, but certainly if we do see this job action, as you mentioned, expect those flights to slow immediately. And so for people who are traveling after this weekend, they're going to be the ones that are most impacted. Those who are already in the air or in mid-trip, the advice from passenger rights advocates is essentially to carry on as normal and to wait for the airline to come to you, because they do have an obligation to do so.
All right, Mr. Colton Praill at our Ottawa Bureau, thank you so much for that. Keep us posted on any developments.